cool. We go to the map. Yeah. To the lake, big lake.
Big lake.
Second day in a row, it's getting better. You know, it's better, faster. Nice. Good to see you. Hey, Alejandro.
How's it doing?
Hey, maestro. How was the beach? Super. Hello, very good. You?
How are you?
Great, yeah.
Yeah?
Feel alive.
Nice, eh? Just like Berlin.
Yeah, good.
Go swim. Fucking go swim.
You want to swim? Yeah, we went this way.
I got a perfect team. You must. You must not hallo.
Hallo, how are you?
Alles gut? Ja?
Alles gut?
Every time someone is so good, yeah, I can do.
I'm doing the live stream of the ref meeting.
T'as pas commenté, t'as rien?
Vamos? Okay, we're ready? Should we begin?
Internet is ready.
Stream.
Okay.
Could
Hello
stay home,
everyone.
huh?
Thanks for coming to the ref meeting. We're not a lot of people. We've done this before, so we can just like quickly go through things. We'll do mostly like questions. One as we used last Worlds, last Euros. We've been playing with this for a few years, so we should be fairly familiar with it. And so, yeah. Okay, so section 1, right, of the rep of the rule set. Teams, we're gonna be playing quads, obviously. 4 teams per 4 players per team. Team captains. Captains are the ones that are supposed to talk to the ref.
If it's gonna be forced really, or it's just a funny rule, you know? Because it's always the question.
When you're gonna be reffing, you enforce it how you see fit. You can be as strict or as lenient as you want the match to go, right? So if you feel like you're losing control of the game and you need to be strict and you only want to talk to the captain, make a point of it and say, I only want to talk to the captains. If you feel that it helps your ref better to be more close to the people, you know, close to the players and be more friendly, if you're okay with that, you can do it, okay? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change the dynamic of the game. As long as a ref, you're in control of that game, right? But it's the ref that has the decision, right? As a player, if you start talking and you see that the ref is starting to get angry and you're not the captain, maybe shut up. Right?
Yeah, sure,
But-
always.
Be as strict or as lenient as you want, okay?
Because, you know, instead of talking with 2 people, you suddenly talk with 6, you know, and this is the changing of the...
Like I say, as a ref, you are in control of that game. If you can manage 6 people yelling at you or 8 people yelling at you, hey, you know, you do you. But really, it's up to the captain to speak. So just ask the players who is the captain, and then you know it might be easier. But it's something that you have to. Yes.
Je parle en français.
Si.
Est-ce qu'il y a un espace, surtout pour le terrain A, pour réserver aux arbitres? Genre fermé, pour qu'il n'y ait aucun joueur à côté qui vienne, le public qui vienne discuter une décision avec l'arbitre?
I wouldn't know. That's so he's asking about the areas around the ref or the courts. I don't know. We have to talk to the tournament.
But if it's
But
safe or what?
as a ref, if you see that you have a crowd around you and it's annoying you, tell them to fuck off.
Okay.
Right? Make your space, create your space, you know, that it can focus. Because you're working. So the same as, you know, when you're playing, you know, prepare your stuff, be ready. You have an assistant. Every team is gonna have to ref. So it's gonna be your teammate that is gonna be your assistant. An assistant, a person that you know, that you have a relation with already. So ask them, you know, to help you out. If there's people around you that are annoying you, ask your assistant, you know, move them away. But, you know, make your own space. I don't know if the organization has certain areas. I know that the middle court, you know, they're pretty separated from people. But here, if people people are annoying, there's music, there's yelling, there's stuff, yeah, don't hesitate to turn around and say like, hey guys, like, let me be. So yeah, uniforms, as long as you identify one team and the other one, I'm fine. Be as strict as lenient as you want, as usual, right? Shafts and heads, I mean, everybody knows. I think nobody brought like any crazy shit anymore. So that's, bicycles. There's not gonna be. There hasn't been any bike check. Bike check is probably gonna be done at some point. I would definitely ask because everybody's gonna be reffing. So check your teammates' bikes. Be your own bike checker. Especially for safety things, right? For example, I see like some V brakes on one bike or some double cogs, things that are obviously dangerous. Be ready before the match, you know. Be that person in your team that goes and checks the bikes of your teammates. When you're gonna be reffing, take a quick look at the bikes before the match. Something that Django said. We don't know everybody's names and everybody's teams. So when you go as a player, go to the ref and give them your team name and the names of your teammates. As a ref, ask the players to come in directly and ask them for, you know, to write it in. So we don't waste time, you know. So when you go to the court, instead of like hitting the ball 1,000 times, go to the ref and say, I'm Jason, you know, this is my team, I'm the captain, you know, be proactive so we can, yes.
Is there some tape, hot glue gun, or some bar and plugs that will be provided, or just a space where we can look for them?
Yes, I know that I brought some duct tape. You have to ask this time where he's supposed to be. He has some tools.
Okay. Maybe the hacks, or maybe.
But there's definitely things to help out with that. There's a saw, there's files, there are things to do that.
Or even spare disc protection, disc guards.
That I don't know, but maybe Laurent, he's gonna be here. He might bring some Roger stuff.
Okay.
Maybe Miguel from Pratt. There's definitely people that are bringing things. If you're making these cards, if you're making these type of protections, make yourself available. Tell them.
For the first match, the ref has to do the bike check before the first match?
Ideally, I would prefer for players to check their own bikes or like per team, you know, the captain of the team checks their bikes and then as a secondary revision, yeah, the ref is going to check it quickly. But there's not going to be an official bike check per se, right? Because not everyone's here and we have a very tight schedule. So the less we have to waste time, the better. Tomorrow, if you have a bike that is definitely not okay for the bike check, well, you won't be able to play until you fix it. But
maybe the other team can do the bike check.
The opponents?
Check your teammates, man. I mean, you have a team. You know, not your team, and
in front
you
of
like,
each game, you're gonna lose a lot of time.
yeah, we don't have a lot. We have to start really early, and we have to finish very late, and so yeah. Especially for safety things, I'm not a huge fan. I don't really care for like handlebar width. If it's 70 or 71, for me, it's not the end of the world. I know that there's a rule and you have to comply with it, and that's fine. But I'm more concerned with safety than picking those things. So I would much rather check for the zip ties, especially if they're sharp. Just burn them off, right? Burn them off, or leave them long. If they're long, they don't cut, you know. But as long as they're very very short, just burn them like really quickly. It takes 2 seconds. So whatever is not sharp.
On face cages, some people leave it long like this, which is like super dangerous when you go to someone. It can go under your glasses.
It's crazy, man.
I would cut those.
No,
So if
that's so
someone is
crazy. That's so
antennas,
stupid.
just cut those.
What are you talking about, man? Complete opposite, man. Did you just said if you cut them, they're more dangerous. They make a sharp point. I don't know, man.
So it's better for you?
Yeah.
You're 100% sure. You're not joking.
I'm 100% not joking.
You would rather leave
I've been playing for like 10 years with that.
Okay.
Like never has even like never, like not even close.
It never went in my eye, but someone had poked me in the face.
I haven't even poked anybody.
C'est quand tu fais la raquette.
Elle peut toucher la balle.
C'est quand tu fais ta raclette, David.
C'est ton antenne quand
Faut
elle.
arrêter les raclettes, c'est tout.
So yeah, courts, well, the game facilities, you see there's nothing new here for the quads. Well, you know, we have these doors that are, you know, we just let them fall. Make sure that as a player, when you're doing the changes, when you let the ball, when you let the boards in, doesn't affect the game. If it happens that it traps the ball, it might be a foul, but just be aware of that.
It's a good thing as a team to appoint somebody close to the gate to close and open it.
One of the spectators, you mean?
Yeah, I mean for balls, the crease, everything here is Section 3, game officials. Okay,
So-
so everybody's gonna be ref, right? So there's 4 players to a team. There's gonna be a main ref, there's gonna be an assistant, and there's gonna be 2 goal refs, right, per team. So every shift is covered by one team, right? So in your team, you decided what you want to do. Like we said on when we published, there's gonna be one day you're gonna be reffing 3 games. The next one you're gonna be reffing 2 games. If you ref 3 games, it means that it's at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. If you're reffing 2, it's because it's right in the middle of the day where it's the hottest. So we're trying to make that shorter, you know, short and sweet. But yeah, if you ref 3 games one day, the next day is gonna be 2. So 5 in total, because that's how it, you know, the number of teams that we have, the number of courts, that's what it comes out to. We don't have the schedule of the reffing for the second day because we don't know the results yet. Be aware that we won't be able to do it until the end of the first day. If you see that you're reffing 3 games on the first day and 3 games on the second day, let us know so we can change it. But
Est-ce qu'on peut remplacer un goal ref si on a un des 4 qui est malade ou blessé ou...
sure, you can replace whoever you want in your team, but it's your responsibility,
Ok.
right? It's not the organization's responsibility to change, to arrange anything around your reffing shift.
Je pense au groupe du matin, s'il y en a un qui a attrapé une insolation, qui est blessé et qui peut pas faire goal ref l'après-midi par exemple. Tu vois.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's your responsibility.
I choose the goal ref.
Yeah, you go and you ask somebody to replace your friend, right?
Okay.
Yes,
There are like shade provided for all the officials, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Even the goal ref?
Yeah.
That I don't know. I'm not
There's
sure.
you can
Hopefully,
tell
yeah.
there is at least for the 2
Les parasols.
Hopefully, yes.
umbrellas.
Ideally,
Umbrellas.
Yes. So the reffing sheet, same as we always been using, you know,
C'est
the
pareil.
ones are the Eurobike Polo
Ni l'un ni
website.
l'autre.
The games, first and second day are going to be 60 minutes long. No stoppages until the last 2 minutes, right? No stoppages, obviously, unless there's a timeout, there's a
So 16,
injury.
16, yeah.
No, until the last 2 deux dernières minutes.
Les 2 dernières minutes, t'arrêtes le temps.
Okay? So it's going to be 16 minutes. Yeah. Like on day 3 it's going to
C'est
be
l'âge de 16
18.
minutes. Oui, donc t'arrêtes à
Because
14e.
we have a little bit more time. There's less teams. So
Après c'est golden.
day 3 is going to be
14e.
18 minutes the whole
Après
day.
14e, c'est golden.
Day 1 and 2 is going to be 16 minutes. It's supposed to be 5 rounds per group
Marc, il a gagné.
on the first day and the second day.
Même si c'est
If we
5
see that people are not playing along
bah,
and
12.
we're wasting a lot of time, then we're probably going to do 4 rounds. Let's see. So yeah, main ref is the one that is supposed to be in charge, you know, like you know. The assistant, they can do the time, writing things, you know, the goals, the fouls, looking for the off-ball play, that's usually good. Checking for goal judges, for the goal refs. Sometimes it makes signals, you know, sometimes it'll help. Sometimes the ref cannot see it, but the assistant take a look at the goal refs because they might have something to say, and so be a little bit of the eyes in the back of the main ref, right? Yes.
There will be like scoreboards, digital scoreboards that will be managed by the phone. That would be on the last day, and that is for the assistant to deal with, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so everyone knows.
Yeah. So
Just the last day.
Just the last day.
Yeah. So usually
I think.
the head ref is just gonna be.
For this court, actually.
It's just gonna be the whistle and the decision making. The rest is gonna be the assistant ref's job, right?
L'assistant.
Et-
Il gère, c'est une application qui fait le temps et le score. Et sur le dernier jour sur le terrain.
Okay, so for the rest, I mean, there's gonna be the head ref of the tournament. Obviously, it's gonna be me for this weekend. If you have questions, if you have something that you want to decide, if you need any help, if there are players that are really misbehaving and you need to address it, come see me. I'll be here all weekend basically. I won't make any decisions for you though. So as a main ref during the match, it's up to you to decide. If you're really unsure, you can ask me for help, but it's up to you to make your decisions. Other than that, I'm gonna be here for questions and whatever. So yeah, goal judges is not only checking that the goals are good, but also checking a little bit, things that are difficult to see from the middle of the court. So whatever action behind the goal, little fouls, little things that are, it's usually you have to pay attention. Don't be the goal judge that is having a beer and chatting with your friends and just like raising your hand when you hear a thing, So be proactive. They're gonna be short reffing matches. It's gonna be over really, really quick. So at least pay attention. It's gonna be 2 or 3 depending on the day, but it's gonna go over quick. Yes.
Can you remind the signs for goal refs, raising your hand or?
Yeah. So when it's a goal, you raise your hand, obviously, right? When it's not a goal, you go like this, right? If you see a foul, usually you point in the direction of the person that is going on, and you raise your hand and you can wave it because usually you're gonna need to get some attention, right? So you point to the player that made the foul, right? And so that way we can communicate. I know that, for example, Martin in the past has said has his own version of things, but given that he's gonna be reffing with his teams, whatever system works for them, that's fine, right? So if you and your team, you have a system that you communicate better, you don't have to follow my signs, you can make your own signs, right? As long as you know what's happening. Okay, but usually for the goal, it's just raising your hand, and for no goal, it's like this wash motion, right? And so pointing something that's going on during the game.
If there is a false start, just
you raise your hand, right? You just wave it a little bit. Sometimes there's flags, and so make yourself. I know in the past David has done a great job at goal reffing, and he's been ignored many times. And you see them in the streams going going crazy like this, and try to be that person
montrer le
that
joueur,
tries to
ouais.
get the attention. Right?
Ouais, après s'il y a un moment, si l'arbitre il a décidé que il n'allait pas de suivre, il n'allait pas de suivre.
Oui, mais tu la notes quand même sur le calepin.
Ben non.
Si c'est pas sifflé, non. Oui, mais si la faute est pas sifflée, tu pointes le gars, mais si c'est sur un avantage, tu continues à le pointer.
Non, après, quand l'arbitre il a pris la décision
De siffler faute, enfin de laisser le jeu.
de siffler,
C'est un
pas siffler,
avertissement, ça, de faire ça.
ça veut dire j'ai vu quelque chose.
Exactly.
Genre, j'ai pris une faute de tel joueur.
Right?
Alors l'arbitre,
That's a great
Ah, mais c'est
strategy.
le goal ref qui fait ça.
If it works for you, that's fine. If you have another version that works for you, that's fine as well. But this is definitely something
Le
that is.
main ref continue à laisser
So
jouer,
yeah, the
et après il va voir son goal ref pour lui demander ce qu'il a
timeouts
vu.
as well. Pay
C'est ça ou
attention
il
for
siffle
the-
direct?
Après moi je fais, quand je le ref,
No, you have a question.
Ouais, quand le goal ref lève la main comme ça et qu'il signale une faute, ok, le main ref il laisse jouer et sur un arrêt de jeu il va voir le goal ref pour lui demander ce qui s'est passé si
Ok.
lui n'a pas vu.
Okay, so yeah.
Désolé.
if the goal ref signals a foul and the ref doesn't really know what's happening, that is a tricky situation. Yeah, definitely. You can let it play and then stop, but usually there's something that you can see, right? So there's either a position change, right, through a foul, someone dabbing, right? So there's usually an action that happens in there, and you see it. So in case, because also the goal ref might see something, and you might disagree with the goal ref, and that's fine as well, right? But you as a ref, you have sixth sense, right? You have to see, and maybe if you're in doubt, you can stop the game and ask them to come and see you, right? And you know, and see, okay, if there was an advantage. If there's an advantage and you lose the advantage, it's not the end of the world, okay? I'd rather that you call foul, even if it means losing the advantage, but you call the right foul, than saying like nothing happened, right? Because that usually results in escalation of violence, right? But you have to see, there's a whole context when you're refereeing. Yes.
So I guess if like the skilled referees that are like goal reffing, they can also, after they get the attention of the ref that is like asking of them what's going on, like they can show a whistle to act on the whistle, or just call advantage, and that would.
The goal ref doesn't call any.
No, for the ref.
Because otherwise it's going to be really confusing.
No, but for the ref to call it back. Like only the ref would call the advantage.
Le main ref, il va forcément siffler avantage.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't necessarily do that, because that's gonna be confusing. If you need to stop the game, yeah, make the movement, the motion of whistling, right? Like be insistent as a goal ref, you know, like whistle, like stop. Okay. But other than that, just call the foul and let the main ref make the decision, right? And if they make a mistake, making a mistake is not the end of the world, okay? It's only by polo.
Yes.
Okay? So safety third, but
Mais sur un but, hein, où il a levé la main, l'équipe marque,
exactly,
hein, là,
and
il
then
faut aller
you have to go,
parler.
exactly, and then it becomes a thing, right? But don't be the goal judge. Don't make it more confusing for the main ref. Okay? Yes, sorry.
Just to kind of, I like your idea. So whistle, but then I'm gonna have my team do the goal refs and then like ringing the bell.
If
they see.
Why not? This is a good movement. Yeah.
The bell or
Yeah.
If you have your own system, that's
Yeah.
I like that idea.
okay. Yeah, if you think that makes sense for your team, that's a good strategy.
Is there a bell?
Talking amongst your referee team, right? It's gonna be your teammates. So yeah, they what you said, right? So advantage, you know, the motion of the bell, like this, stop the game. Yeah, but don't make any calls as a goal ref, right? Please don't make any calls like verbal, because also the players are gonna hear that and they're gonna think, oh, that's the decision. They're making a call, and until the main ref calls it, you know, everything's still going on. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. If you feel that's gonna help you with your reffing team, but talk it amongst yourselves.
Yep.
Okay, so now we start getting into the nitty gritty. So ball play, you know, possession, you know, we define possession as, or the player to be in possession as being able to play the ball, right? The ball is in its vicinity, right? So it doesn't have to be 2 touches like it used to be in the past. So as long as you touch the ball and you can continue playing that ball, you're in possession of that ball, right? If you touch that ball and the ball goes like far away is like, we define it as 3 meters, right? But 3 meters is vicinity, right? It doesn't have to be in 299, it's fine, and 3 meters is gone, right? It's an approximate area. So a ball that reaches, it touches you and it goes off, you never got possession of that ball. So it has to be something that you can play, but also you have to be able to continue to play it, right? And that is an important thing, because it also plays with hooking and interference. It's something that is important, right? So for the end of the advantage, obviously, right? Touching the ball doesn't necessarily end it. If you don't have a mallet, if you lose your mallet, you cannot gain possession of the ball, right? You have to have a mallet. to be able to gain possession. So you lose your mallet, you go and protect that ball, you're never gonna end that advantage. You can do it, but you're not gonna get the goal. So yeah, shooting, you know, the end of the mallet, shuffling, everybody knows it, ball jointing. Remember, ball jointing now with the scoops and everything, it's become a little bit of a gray, not a gray area, but mixed, you know. A lot of people do like scoops and ball joints at the same time. But if you're dragging the ball across the surface, that's a ball joint. And you can only do it for a short period of time, right? So if you drag it, foul, right? It's 2 seconds, right? Scooping, 3 changes, no more, right? You already know that it's more than 3 changes because it starts to look stupid, right? So 3 changes is very fancy. 1 is quick, 2 is fancy, 3 is super fancy, 4 is stupid. So as soon as you start seeing somebody doing something stupid, that's a foul, right? And it's not the do-do-do. No, it is do-do-do-do-do. You know it. Foul. You can only do 3 direction changes for the scoop. Carrying the ball. If you take the ball, this is carrying the ball, right? So you're not scooping it, you're not dragging it across the floor, you're carrying like this. Illegal. So grabbing, you're not allowed to grab the ball. You're allowed to stop it. If you're the
Goalkeeper?
if you're the goalkeeper, you can swat it away. That's the only time that you can swat it away. As a player, you cannot. You can only play it down with your hands. You can stop it and it can go down.
Is there like a gray area because you're coming with speed into a ball that's coming mid-air, and then like people are usually like pushing it down, but it goes in front of them, and I don't know. It goes to the advantage,
Absolutely.
but it's like okay, right?
You're gonna carry momentum, obviously, yeah. But if you're, if you're doing fancy shit, you'll see it.
Okay.
You know, any natural movement that stops the ball, that's fine. It's very rare that happens. And obviously the idea is not to have people wave at the ball. But obviously you're not gonna be like right? This is not natural movement. So as a ref as well, be aware of that, right? So slapping it, it's not allowed, but as a goalkeeper you're allowed. That's the only. So yeah, that's how we play the ball. Game mechanics, start the game. We all know it. Everybody on their side. Ready, whistle, we go. For the joust, please, I've seen it, I don't know why, this has become a thing lately, but people get creative on the joust. Don't get creative, right? We go straight for the ball, right? No curves, no fancy movements, no stopping in the middle, you go straight for the ball, right? Anything that gets creative, that's gonna be a big foul, yes.
Feet on the board to start, okay?
Yeah, totally.
Like push on your feet on the board.
It's a vertical surface, totally fine. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. What I don't want to see is people trying to block somebody from jousting. If you're really late to the joust, if you don't want to go for the joust, allow some space, allow some room. Don't do it as a ditch effort. Don't see that you're gonna be beat and turn, because that's gonna take you out 1 minute directly. Right? Yes.
No matter if you start from the left or the right.
It doesn't matter if you start from the left or the right, but you have to go straight for the ball. So no turning, no right. And you have to be aware that you cannot be the trajectory of the other person going straight, right? Because both players, they have to go to the left of the other one. So if you're coming from the left side, right? Don't go straight across that path, because you know where that path is going. That line is going to be like an arrow. If your path crosses that arrow, it's going to be on you. That's going to be a minute, right? Don't get creative on the joust. If you want to go from the right side or from the left side, doesn't matter. For as long as you don't interfere with somebody that is coming at full speed, right? So no creative jousting, please. I don't know why it's become a thing, but it shouldn't be a thing. So yeah, stoppages, you know, we blow the whistle, there's not gonna be, you can stop the game at any time, okay? If you see somebody that is hurt, something that is odd, you can stop the game. Don't be afraid to stop the game, especially for a safety thing. It's gonna be really hot this weekend. So if you see that a player is like not really there, you know, don't hesitate. You can stop the game, we can stop the clock. Hey, let's check them out, right? If they say that they're fine, then okay, we can restart. But yeah, don't hesitate to do that. So it's gonna be a running clock up to the last 2 minutes. For the restart of the play. Some people, they like to be, they call the 10 seconds to cross, 10 seconds now. Some people like to be, there's 10 seconds between stoppages and we start 10 seconds. Manage your games, you know, if you're wasting 30, 40 seconds between every time there's a stoppage for the players to restart, it's a little bit wasteful, although the clock is running, so they're wasting time. So it's their time that they're not playing. But try to make it fast. If you like to say, if you like to change that aspect and say like, I'm just gonna count to 10 and after 10, it's gonna be game on, let the people play. Let the people know that you're gonna be doing that. That's how you're gonna be reffing that game. Don't make it a surprise, especially with those things. No, make the teams aware that when you say 10 seconds, it's gonna be for both teams. That you expect players to start playing when you say, when that countdown is done. Okay, but you have to let them know. As a ref, try not to create surprises for the players, but get things going. So yeah, goals. I've seen it. When did I see it? I think it was in Lyon. For a goal to count, it has to be the whole ball, the whole line. So not partially, not half ball, not most of the ball, the whole ball, right? It has to cross completely. If it doesn't cross completely, then it's not a goal, right?
That was in a shifted goal, and if the goal is shifted, it's the goal line that counts.
Yeah, and it's marked. There's 2 lines as well, so
Yeah.
you know exactly where the goal mouth line is. Yeah, the goal could be in Timbuktu for all that matters. It's really those lines, right, that make the difference. Yeah, 100%. But it has to be the whole line and the whole ball. So yeah, you cannot shoot before the game starts. I mean, you can, but it's not gonna count as a goal, right? That we all agree. That's something that is common knowledge. What else? If the goal happens in the same action that there's a foul, then there's not a goal, right? So you cannot foul and then it scores. For example, if you kamikaze yourself into the goal under the keeper, you know, and you score that way, that wouldn't count because that's in the same action, right?
And after also.
It has to be in the same action,
Yeah.
right?
So
So if you shoot, you score, and then
T-bone someone.
you like celebrate and you crash into the player, then that wouldn't be considered the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But like if you go full speed and I just ram into you, you know, like I touch it and like destroy you, that would be
Goal.
that wouldn't be a goal, right? That would be the same action that is like
Yeah.
I'm crashing into you, I'm scoring with that same action. Okay.
Comment?
S'il est pas sur le duel.
Non, là c'est le gars qui a la balle qui marque et qu'après il rentre dans le goal par exemple, juste après dans la même
S'il
action.
rentre tout seul dans la planche après derrière et qu'il fait pas faute.
Ah ouais, non, si,
bon.
c'est,
No,
non, ça c'est
for
bon.
example, I shoot, right? I take a huge shot and I hit you in the face, and that ball just goes into the goal. You know, I score. That wouldn't be a goal. So I just hit you in the face, right? In my same action, I made a foul, right? So that wouldn't count as a goal, right? So yeah, injury. We talked a little bit about that. Yeah, if the ball goes out of bounds, all of this, we know, player replacement.
on the court during the tournament.
I'm not sure if there's an ambulance.
Okay,
I'm not sure. As a ref, I'm not sure. That would be something for the organizers to, a question for the organizers.
Comment? C'est deux normalement.
So yeah, if in quads,
C'est deux
you
minutes.
cannot
mais,
replace a player during quads. So if somebody from your team gets injured, you have to play on 3, right, for the rest of the game. And then you're not allowed to have a replacement. This is yeah. You can find 3 players. You can play for the rest of the tournament with 3 players, or until there's a replacement that you can bring in, right? But the game itself, you have to finish it, right? Players can only be from eliminated teams. You're not playing the tournament. Timeouts, there's gonna be 2 timeouts of 1 minute exactly. Two timeouts of 1. Yes. And you can take them. You can take them consecutively as well, right? So if you want to do something, you know, you need more than 1 minute, you can take one timeout and then the other one right after that. In this court, I'm not sure if there's going to be the additional 2 30-second timeouts because the doors are fairly easy. The access to the court is fairly easy. So usually when there's a court that is difficult to get in, there's 2 additional timeouts of 30 seconds to do changes on lineups. In this court, I don't think, during this tournament, I don't think there's going to be those because it's fairly easy to go in and out.
Question? Let's say it's like the first game of the day, there's not really spectators here to help with the boards. Could we like add that to the 1 or 2 games where there's not a spectator to help with the boards first thing in the morning?
For the additional timeouts?
Yeah.
No, I think one person, I mean, doesn't really, don't interfere with the game. Can be a little, as a ref, you can be a little bit more lenient, right? If you see that player is struggling to bring the boards up, you know,
Yeah, I guess my
and
real
the ball
question
goes
is
in.
the schedule. Like, is it super, super tight?
It's super tight.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, it's super tight. Yeah, like a 30-second timeout, it would be for a court that wouldn't have doors.
Yeah, sounds good.
Tu peux les prendre en même temps, ouais. Enfin, l'un après l'autre, pas directement.
Replacement of what?
Switching.
During the game? At any stoppage, you can do it, and you can do it live as well, as long as you don't interfere. So when you do a change in the lineup, not a replacement of the player, because for me a replacement is that player is unable to continue playing, and I have to bring another teammate to my team, right? So just a change in the lineup is the player has to be close to the door, and so you push the door, new player comes in, old player leaves, right? But all in the same vicinity and all without affecting the rest of the game. So make sure that you don't affect the rest of the game. We didn't draw an area because obviously with these doors it would have to be a big area. And so
C'est toi qui organise, non?
usually there's a line that you have to.
You can switch when
Ouais,
you're
bah tu dois te démerder. En plus, si t'es
You can
vénère,
switch
toi,
when
tu
you're
peux pas
out
aller te
and you're
balader.
coming in, you don't have to tap in.
Faut fermer avant.
Okay? You get a free tap out when you do that. Si t'es down, ok? Et tu vas vers la porte, ton pote quand il va rentrer,
Il doit aller toucher.
il va pas venir taper.
Ah non, il peut pas.
Il rentre direct dans le jeu. Et c'est bon, c'est ça.
How many switches?
As many as you want.
It's first player come in, and then the other goes out.
Yeah, exactly. So briefly, there's gonna be 4 players in the court. Yeah, briefly, there's gonna be 4 players in the
But it's
court.
their responsibility to make sure that it doesn't
Obviously,
interfere
there's gonna
in
be
the
4
game.
players in the court because those 2 are gonna be in the area, in the vicinity of the door.
And
Right?
what is-
Don't go
what is
like
the penalty
one player is
for that?
here and the other one goes in. Right?
Yeah, like you don't switch when the ball is over there.
You can switch, but the player that is switching has to be close to the door. Right?
Yeah, and are
So
you-
the 4th player cannot come in until the player that is leaving is close to the door.
Yeah, it has to be like a real switch.
And it has to be in the area of the door.
Is there moments that it's forbidden to switch? Never.
No.
Not
Yes.
because the ball is really close, the action is there.
I interfere with the ball. If you interfere with the ball, that's a foul.
So
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not forbidden per se, right? It's forbidden to interfere with the game, but not to change.
And the penalty for that is ball to the other team.
It depends. It depends on how you do it.
There's a
Depends on how much you fuck up.
there's a situation if there's a player that has 30 seconds
Yeah.
and he goes out,
Yeah.
and then the other player takes his place as in the tap out. There cannot be switches because the player outside has technically the 30 second. Is that correct? Do you see what I mean?
The 30 seconds and the ref doesn't ask you to leave because the ref can ask you to leave the court.
Yeah.
We usually keep them here because it's easy, you know, and we don't, you know, want to make things a little bit better. But it's a courtesy to that player. But yeah, don't replace the player that has the 30 seconds with another one.
Okay.
Right? So the player, if you're gonna keep them here, the player that serves the foul has to keep that foul. You have to.
But they can switch the other teammates.
They can switch. Yeah. The other switch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On peut choisir le mec qui va à la faute.
Non.
No,
Justement.
you mean that if you take 30 seconds, I can choose as your teammate to switch with another teammate,
Yeah, exactly.
but you stay punished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one punished has to stay punished.
The punished one
Le-
stays
ouais,
punished.
ok. Il reste là, mais tu peux changer l'autre ligne, c'est ça?
And if you have to
Tu peux
put on
changer
the
les deux
pink
qui
hat.
restent.
Ouais.
Par-
Les trois autres, ouais.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. If the swap is not good, they're not in the area, the foul will go on to the player who was already on the court and is leaving the court.
No, the foul is on the player that comes in.
That comes in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now infractions, right? So delay of game. If you're throwing the ball outside and all of that, wasting time. Wasting time is basically that foul, delay of game. Unsporting behavior.
What do you mean if you throw the ball outside?
We're talking about delay of game,
But during the game, if you put the ball out of the court, it's not foul.
but like to waste time.
Volontairement.
Yeah.
Throw it out.
Still, that's a foul. Because it's also ball turn. I mean, it's ball turnover anyway.
Not listen. If the ball goes outside from something that you do, that's not a foul. If you take the ball and you throw it outside just to waste time, that would be a foul. So the idea of this delay of game is just wasting time on actions that delay the game, right? Like, for example, pinching the ball in certain area that becomes unplayable, doing something that doesn't allow the game to flow, right? Just wasting time. So
Two teammates down, throw the ball outside so that they come back in.
you know, or like for example, you double the cage, right? You double the goals. Video game. It's written. It rarely happens, but it's written. Unsporting behavior. So unsporting behavior is just basically being a dick, right? That one is pretty bad. So for unsporting behavior, you can be being a dick to the player, to another player, being a dick to the refs, or being a dick to spectators, right? That one could range from something like 30 seconds, can go up to like a minute, or it can even go to, you know, exclusion of the game or even tournament, right? Depending on what's going on, right? You come in, you get off your bike, and you punch somebody in the face. Hey, probably you're not gonna continue the tournament. It's happened in the past.
Can you bench back? Can you still play, yeah? I mean, that's fair, kind of. Alright.
We want drop glove rule.
Let's see. Defend yourself, remember. Don't get easy punches at it. Okay?
So yeah, bike interference is basically the old school blocks, right? You can only play a player that you can only block somebody that has the ball. You cannot block somebody that doesn't have possession. All of that we know. Mallet interference works a little bit the same way, except that instead of being with possession, it's with the mallet, right? So blocking is the hooking, right? Hooking somebody makes them lose possession, and so you're not allowed to interfere with somebody's mallet because they're not in possession, because they're unable to play that ball because of the action that you're doing. It's kind of circular.
Can you explain it in a way that how can you? When can you? When is it possible? When is it possible? When it's okay?
Well, really, hooking is not okay. It's never okay, but it's something that happens, right?
Okay.
So if you're fighting, if we are both fighting for possession of a ball, right? We're all gonna be doing like mallet play,
Yeah.
and that might happen that we hook each other a little bit, right? So it might be a result of the action that we're doing, but I'm not allowed to hook you, right? I'm allowed to place my mallet, but the moment that I don't allow you to play anymore, then I have to release you, right? So it's the extended contact that makes the difference, right? But it happens, right? It's unavoidable.
This feels like different to what we know. I think the way you explained it is like I feel different than we played. I expect that there is some hooking that is allowed, you know, like in the play. So like I put my mallet in order to prevent you from playing, and then it doesn't have to be, but I do the hooking on purpose. But then I don't hold you, I just, so that's okay, yeah, okay. Okay, then it's just me misunderstanding, I'm sorry.
Both players are in the same distance, you know.
Okay.
You're playing a playable ball, right?
Yeah.
Both of them are in reach of that ball,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a consequence. Obviously, I'm not going to say like, oh, after you know,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to get that ball, and I don't want you to get that ball, but you're able to do it, right? So the difference with this, and for example, what it was in the past is you already beat me, and then I do my long reach, and I say, hey, where you going, buddy? You know, and I take your mallet, and you're completely, you know, and then you're hooked. You know, you already beat me, but then I go and I do it. Right?
So-
Or, for example, the extended hooking.
Okay.
Right?
So like around a bike, like if you hook someone around their bike,
Yeah.
like can you play the ball?
Can you? Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. It's just as blur as before then. All good.
Django is very tall, right? Django is a very tall guy.
Yeah.
There's players that are very short, right? Django can easily go over you and play.
Yeah.
Right? But me, I'm not too tall. So
Yeah.
if I go around somebody that's going to run really big, probably not going to reach a ball. Probably that's going to be a foul. Right?
Yeah.
So, you have to assess it.
Okay.
In any case, it's an awkward situation. So the blocking, the crease violation, crease, yeah, just be aware, 3 seconds, you know. 3 seconds doesn't mean that you can't do 3, right? Because that would be 2 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3, so that's 2 seconds really, right? Because you start at 1. So the moment that you reach 4, that would be 3 seconds. And then that would be a foul. It can be a foul. But the resulting penalty doesn't necessarily is the same. So if there's a crease violation, usually there could be a potential goal. So that could mean 30 seconds, but it's not always 30 seconds. It's not an automatic 30 seconds, but it usually could be, right? If the mallet is inside the crease, that player is inside the crease, right? If you're planted with your mallet inside,
But floating mallet inside, then it's not a.
yeah, exactly. It has to touch, right? Like, yeah. But I mean, floating mallet can be like a blocking tool as well, right? So it could be another foul. It could be something else.
Okay.
But usually it's like somebody being stationary,
Mhm.
you know, like really close to the crease, especially if the mallet side in.
Mhm.
And just being in there, just be aware. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the same thing. There's only one player that is allowed to be in the crease for more than 3 seconds. Well, actually 2 players, right? So the goalkeeper, it's allowed to be inside his own crease for the end of the world, and the player in possession of the ball. Those are the only 2 players that are allowed to be in a crease. The rest, it doesn't matter if it's offensive or defensive, they're not allowed to stay there.
It's not like it used to be, like if the ball is in, everyone can be in.
It resets the clock.
Yeah,
As long as the ball is in the crease, everyone can be in.
The moment the ball is inside the crease disappears.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Good clarification. Yeah. It's obviously when there's no ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
100%. Yeah. Thanks. Yes.
We are also supposed to whistle for someone forechecking someone behind the crease with the ball.
I'm sorry.
If someone is forechecking,
Yeah.
and the guy in possession goes and kind of hide behind the net,
Yeah.
you're still not allowed to be. In
You're
the
an
crease.
offensive player and
Yeah.
you're on the
You're
on your
forechecking
crease
on
and
the-
just waiting for the other guy to leave. That would be a foul after 3 seconds. Yeah, that would be a foul. Yeah. It's allowed. It's a stupid foul.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fair enough. Just to know if we're supposed to whistle it.
The way that is written, personally, and this is like a very big leeway for me, as a ref, I wouldn't necessarily whistle it. I don't necessarily find it that you gain any position because you have a mouse that is hiding, you know, and you have the cat waiting for it outside. So it's just wasting time. So, but technically, yeah, it would be a foul.
Okay.
You know? I would be very happy if it gets whistled, I would be very happy it doesn't. You know?
Good enough for me.
Because it doesn't really change the outcome. But if you're looking at the rules,
Yeah, I know the rule.
100%.
I know the
You would
rule.
have to
I'm
whistle,
just
right?
asking for if there is kind of an official recommendation of how to handle it. But I know the rule. The rule says
yeah,
it's a foul.
my heart says
This I know.
no,
Okay.
but the rule says yes.
Okay, fair enough. I'll follow your heart.
Yeah. Don't be that person hiding and don't be that idiot waiting, you know, in front of the goal. But yeah, it's okay. Toppling. If you fall and you make somebody dab, that's easy. But also, if you're dabbing and you make you're about to fall and you make the other player fall, but you regain stability from that action, that's still a topple, right? So yeah, by contact.
Obviously, if I topple you and you topple someone else, it's just my fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. Yeah. I mean, from my own team.
No, let's say you toppled someone from my team, but because I toppled you. That's the situation that
Yeah,
happens.
it would
It's
be,
only
it would
my
be your
fault.
foul. It would
The
be your
first
foul.
one.
Yeah, definitely. The person initiating that action would be you. Yeah. So by contact, that refers to the T-bones. I don't know why, but I've heard a couple of times that there's lines in bike polo. There's no lines. Nobody has the right of any line in bike polo, right? Nobody has priority over the another one. However, be aware that placing yourself in an impossible situation might still be the fault of the person that T-bones you, but it might be also a situation when it's your own flagrance, right? Flagrance is when you do something dangerous, so it might be also your fault, right? Players full sprinting and you go like blind and you create an impossible to escape situation. You might be a little bit involved in that.
So it can be a reach out. So if it's a super harsh block, you can with
It's
a
not the
reach
block
out.
itself, right? It's something that really creates something.
Yeah, but like you pivot someone so fast they can't really see it coming, but it's a perfectly clean pivot just in front of them. Then you could
That would be
possibly
fine for me. That would be fine for me. Like as you describe it, that's skill. But for example, you're coming in as fast as you can, and I go as fast as I can towards you, and I try like just to get you, to crash, or like do something that is unavoidable for you. That I'm not even looking for my own safety. I'm just trying to like fuck you up, let's say, right? And I make you T-bone me. Weird scenario that I'm creating, but just be aware that it might happen. But no, if you do super fast, right? Everybody has like super powerful brakes. It's the responsibility of the person crashing somebody else not to crash. The pivots, you have to be aware. That you have to place your bike before the contact. If you're in motion while you're doing your pivot, then it's your foul. Yeah, whatever. Incidental bike, 2 players vying for position. What else?
I have one question.
Yes.
I don't know if my mallet falls, can I still play with my bike or should I get
As
my
long as
mallet
you want.
first?
What you're not allowed to do is go get another mallet. So if that mallet is there, you cannot get another mallet. You have to clear
I
that
can
mallet.
play the
before
bike.
You break your mallet, you have to clear your debris before you can get the other one. But if the mallet is there, you can play as long as you want. However, your mallet cannot interfere with the game in the sense of it blocks a shot that would go to goal, let's say, right? It cannot be a player. Your mallet cannot
There's a
be a
clear
player.
shot.
Let's say if someone uses his mallet, when you remove it, if it's obviously potentially changing something.
You could, but also.
Let's say I'm in the net, someone loses his mallet in front of me, can I get rid of the mallet?
You could, yeah, you could do it, but also, if you shoot into the mallet, that would be an awarded goal. If the mallet is there, it's blocking the line, and you shoot it, and the ball and the mallet blocks your shot, that would be a goal.
If it's a valid
So-
shot.
I'm still in the net, so I could have the goal, but the instruction on the mallet make it.
Yeah, you can move it. If it's something that you need to do, you can move it. Yeah. If
the
it's
mallet's
annoying
on my
you,
way,
you can do
let's say
it.
I'll get rid of it with my
What you
wheel.
cannot do is the player is coming to get the mallet, and you're like, hey, go fetch, you know? Yeah. So that, no, obviously not. But yeah, but otherwise, yeah, if the mallet is there and you shoot the mallet and it blocks the shot, that would be an awarded goal.
The mallet of the. If it's an offensive mallet, and kind of just drag the ball, you know, if it's an offensive mallet or a defensive mallet,
Uh-huh.
and you kind of like scoops up because of that mallet.
It's a goal.
Yeah, one of the mallets, I mean, que ça vient de la défense ou de l'attaque sur mallet.
Si.
Est-ce que ça compte quand même pour un goal? Non, seulement si c'est un mallet défensif.
If it's a,
Attaquant, pardon.
Non, défensif, t'avais
it
raison.
doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if the mallet was not there and the ball would have been a goal. You know, it doesn't matter whose mallet it is. You know, if it interferes with the game, if the mallet defends an otherwise undefendable, you know, an open goal, that would be a goal.
But then the mallet stays there, there's a shot, the shot takes a deflection on the mallet, which goes up goal.
Listen, if you're gonna start like, if we start going into like really fringe situations, as a ref, you're gonna have to analyze and make your own decisions, right? You have to take the context of it and think, what happened? What is the outcome of this? Where is it coming from? You know. But yeah, if it's something that otherwise, if it's a situation that if it wasn't there, that mallet, it would have been a goal otherwise, then it's a goal. If somebody rolls into it and crashes, or they lose possession because of it, you know, you reestablish the conditions that were there before the mallet, or if the mallet wasn't there. Yes, more or less. Yeah, but there's not one answer to that. So yeah, extensions, all of that, no charging. So for contact, right? High and even, shoulder to shoulder. You cannot come full speed from behind and check somebody, because that transfer momentum forward. So that would be a foul, right? So the contact usually is when two players are coming side by side, same speed. You know, that's usually how it goes. So yeah, anything that transfers momentum, especially, that's a foul. Holding, you cannot grab onto somebody's bike or somebody's shirt, jersey with your hand or with your mallet. Kicking, no kicking. There's a tradition in Perpignan where you can score with your feet, but not this weekend. You cannot defend with your foot, right? So if the ball is coming, you cannot lower your foot and stop the ball. So no playing, no footy play.
Just to be clear, also no air balls. No air
Ça va?
guns high.
You're not allowed to play with the ball with your feet.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Clear for
Yes,
me, just
yes.
You have something in mind. Just kidding.
So yeah, no head contact, whatever, you cannot hit anybody's head. Handlebar, you're not allowed to touch the other player's handlebar. Steering arm contact, flagrant. Okay, so we talked about flagrants before. So flagrants is an interaction when a player uses excessive or disproportionate physical force on an opponent who is deemed by the man to be defenseless, deemed by the main ref to be defenseless. So yeah, excessive. The term excessive force and also the disproportionate, right? So that two very strong players, they can play with a lot of force, but this portion part is important here. Especially if it makes another player crash. Especially if it's flagrancies when the player abandons any tactical strategic application of the force, right? So it's just fuck somebody up, in other terms. So slashing, the same thing. Slashing is disproportionate force with the mallet, right? So you can play hard with the mallet, but it has to be proportionate, right? And slashing doesn't necessarily mean that it has to have contact. So if you go near somebody as hard as you can, and it could have hit them, you could call the slashing, especially if you see that the tension is escalating, right? If you hit somebody with a mallet, obviously that's a foul. High sticking.
Sorry, just to be clear.
Yes.
You get everywhere on the body, arm, leg. You cannot make contact with another player with your mallet.
No.
Just to be clear.
No, 100%.
This is just all the body parts, leg, arm.
Yeah, what
Especially not above.
what happens if someone
Your leg.
Yeah.
I softly, but maybe someone is touching it?
No. No. Not really. Not really. I mean, it's bound to happen.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's bound to happen. Contact is bound to happen. But like hitting, no. So if it's touching you, probably not. At some point, it's gonna be a foul, right?
Slashing is just downwards.
No, slashing it doesn't have any motion. Slashing is the
Should be upwards.
No, the slashing doesn't necessarily have any direction. Slashing is more in the strength of it,
Intensity.
right? I cannot go like this, this, that, right? So it's more the strength of it and the disproportion of it, right?
Sorry, I have a question that is like on a totally different subject, but I just realized I missed the chapter. How long is too much raclette?
I know what you mean. So basically, you're not allowed to hold yourself. You're not allowed to like maintain equilibrium with your hand, right?
Okay.
But how much is it? When exactly you know that that player is holding onto its hand?
Are you allowed to touch the floor?
You're allowed to touch, yeah. You're allowed to touch. But when are you just like doing a raclette or just like tripod, right? So no, you're not allowed to stay there. You're not allowed to hold yourself there. But exactly when that happens, tricky. But as a ref, you could see it, and or if you see that somebody's doing it, or you don't know exactly where that limit is, you can warn them and say, "I think that you're holding yourself with, with the raclette. I might whistle it at some point. Just be mindful of that, right? If it's flagrant, then.
But if to go a little bit deeper, if you have like some appendage on your mallet head that allows you not to touch with your fist, but for like the ski protection, for example,
Yes.
and then your hand doesn't hold on the floor, but it's the ski protection with the head that holds you down. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I think that I answered your question.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to maintain stability with whatever tool that you're using in that sense,
Okay.
right? And if you're in doubt on what's going on, and you're like, this is, tell them that you're gonna be
Okay.
looking into that. Tell
Cool.
them that you might whistle next time that they do it.
It's like you can't stop the motion of the game. It's the same rules. Yeah. You can't keep something from happening. It's kind of
Usually a player that is able to do that, you see it, right? And they gain a huge advantage through that because if they have that skill, they usually overuse it, right? If you can hold a raclette for 2 minutes, your raclettes are not gonna be half a second. They're gonna be long, right? And everybody's gonna notice those. So at some point you might be able to say, hey, I don't think you're doing a raclette, I think you're just holding yourself, right? But do we have that with this weekend? I don't know. If it happens, then we can talk about it and we can discuss it and maybe we can make a decision together. But when it's too long, I don't know yet. Yes.
I'm in goal. I stopped the first shot, but I lost my mallet. And the second shot was stopped by the mallet on the floor.
We talked about that one. That would be an awarded goal. Yeah, that would be an awarded goal. If you lost your mallet, yeah.
But if you dab, then it's not a goal.
If you dab, that would be yeah.
If you, is there like some kind of timing where you're allowed to leave and then you can no?
If you're dab and you block a shot that otherwise would have been a goal,
Yep.
that's a goal.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. 100%.
Yep.
'Cause
Makes sense to
it's
me.
like you don't exist, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're guarding, you're defending somebody, you're defending an open net.
and there's
The
no
important thing
timing
is that
about
it's an open net.
we don't have to wait 1 second. It's like if you tap and then shot, it's a goal. That's a goal.
Yeah, don't wait. Yeah. Yeah. So high sticking, anything above handlebars, your handlebars, or if there's a player that has lower handlebars and it's close to you, it's that player's. It's that player that makes the threshold of how tall, right? If there's an airborne ball, there's nobody around, and you reach out, and you don't necessarily go like this, and you make a little movement, as a ref, if you want to be a little bit lenient because you don't want to stop the game, it's up to you. The rules say you're not allowed to do it. If you don't want to stop it, if there's really no safety concern at all, you could be lenient with that, right? Nobody's gonna judge you. I will a little bit, but it's fine. But you're not allowed to do it, right? You could whistle it, right? So yeah.
Still for these scoops shouldn't also go higher than the bar, right?
Absolutely. Nothing above handlebars. Just yeah, like the fancy one, the fancy pass like that. No.
But also just like a normal scoop forward like this, it cannot go above the bar. Just to be.
100%.
Thank you.
The little scoopity up above the net. Make sure that it's right. So yeah, jamming. Jamming is the mallet on the wheel usually, or anywhere else. If you cannot move your bike because you have a mallet that is blocking you from moving, that's jamming, or less. Hooking, we talked about it before, so it's not allowed. Really, it's a consequence more than an action. Yes. Throwing mallets, you're not allowed to throw mallets. Sometimes fun, but not allowed.
You can drop them.
You can drop them.
Yeah, it's a different story.
What do you mean?
I mean, if I drop the mallet, but not throw it, but place it. Drop it.
It sounds to me like dropping. It sounds to me like throwing with extra steps.
Alright.
Yeah, no, especially like throwing it, be careful, like if you throw it like a broken mallet and there's spectators around, that could also be a foul. So yeah, the dropping, we talked about it.
Just leave it.
So dropping the mallets, we talked about it before, right? Cannot interfere with the game, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then penalties, ball turnover, whatever, anything that's minor, that's a little foul, it's ball turnover. Minor penalties, those are 30 seconds, right? You can get a minor penalty through different channels. Minor penalties usually involve a foul, an infraction on a goal scoring opportunity. But also you can get a minor if it's your third foul. Your third foul usually it's a 30 seconds automatic. If you get a minor penalty, it's 30 seconds. You can observe them usually here. If you get a goal, if you get scored against, then you go in every time. If you're a little bit of a dick, you know, you talk, you say that things are not appropriate, you can get a minor penalty, but it could be a little bit more. Something that is dangerous, but oblivious or unintended. If you're just a wreck of a player, you know, you have a good, your heart is in the right place, but you know, you're just like wild, and something happens and you foul, and it could have been dangerous, you could get 30 seconds. Because you didn't necessarily intend it, you weren't necessarily aware, but you know, might be a way to calm yourself down. So that's 30 seconds. Major penalty is 1 minute, so major penalty is something that is dangerous. Definitely something dangerous. You can get, if you get a major penalty, it's 1 minute and it's a full minute. However, if it's your fourth foul, you would also get a minute. But if it's your fourth foul, if you get scored on, you go back in, right? So you don't play for 1 minute, but if you get scored on, then you go back in. But only if it's your fourth foul, right? A player misconduct is somebody that is really terrible during the game. They do something really dangerous and they have a crazy attitude. They don't play for the rest of the match. They get kicked out, right? And then we have maybe, depending on what they do, talk about whether they can continue the tournament or not. But at least for the rest of that match, somebody that's just lost their mind and is just going crazy, fuera, right?
And the team ends with 2 goals.
No, the team gets 1 minute penalty, right? So they play on a player disadvantage for 1 minute, but that player cannot regain cannot rejoin the team.
But the first one,
The one that gets the player misconduct cannot play that game anymore, right? And that team plays with 2 for 1 minute, the full minute, right? Yes.
30 seconds. The 30 seconds expires with a goal, right?
Yes.
1 minute expires with a goal.
No, only if it's your fourth foul.
Only if the fourth foul, you have to do the full 1 minute.
If it's your fourth foul, you get 1 minute, but if you get scored on, you go back in.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
If it's your fifth foul, then it's your full minute.
Okay. But it's just 1. So 1 is the highest.
1 is the highest, yeah. Yeah. But you can only get, if you get a second major penalty, you're out.
Yeah.
That's player misconduct, right?
Sure.
So if you get a sixth foul, right? It's happened.
Yeah.
You remember, right? This is very important. You know, 6 fouls, you cannot reach out. So third foul, 30 seconds. Fourth foul is a goal or 1 minute. Fifth foul is 1 full minute. Sixth foul, you're out of the game.
Got it.
When you get a 30-second call, does that mean you start automatically with a third foul?
No. You can get
So you-
30 seconds.
You can get 2 30 seconds and then a third.
You get 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds. But in your third foul, that would be another 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very good question because people do get it mixed. But yeah, no. Your first foul is going to be a 30-second penalty, and it doesn't really affect the fact that you cannot serve.
It's just 1 count of a foul for the counting of the
Exactly.
fouls.
So on your second foul, it would be a second foul, same as usual.
And is it the same if you get 1 minute straight away?
What do you mean? Yeah.
So if I get sent off because of like behaving dangerously or like 2 important fouls on an advantage, then
if you do, yeah. Let's say that you
that
do a
would be
30
1 foul.
You do a foul that would be worthy of 30 seconds during an advantage.
Yeah,
That would be 1 minute,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But maybe it was your first foul.
yeah. Okay,
Your
all good.
first foul was 1 minute. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
Player misconduct. Okay. And so penalty procedure. That's where we're talking. Please write it down on the sheets. What else? Penalties while in possession. So yeah, it's a ball turnover or whatever. You know, the stoppage. You know, you lose possession of the ball of the ball on a foul. Then yeah, it's stoppage. Delay penalties. So that's the advantage, right? Don't get angry if the ref whistles the foul and doesn't call the advantage. Don't be mad. It's not the end of the world. Be glad that they called something. Something that I was asked in the ref camp, not because you don't have possession, you get the advantage automatically. So if the foul happens and the ball is completely at the other end of the court, and no team has clear possession of it, as a ref you can whistle, you know, and call for the ball turnover as it would usually happen, you know, because there was no possession. So there's no reason to allow the team to gain that possession and then do the whole advantage and then the stoppage. So the idea for the advantage is to allow the player to finish their offensive action and then reestablish the competitive advantage of the foul that was called. I don't know if that makes sense. Yes.
A really small semantic thing, but I think it's worth saying. If it should be advantage, but the ref whistles, like be mad for a second and get over it. People are gonna be mad, so it's not just don't get mad, but like be mad, get over it.
100%.
I think that's worth
Yes.
saying.
And also, as a ref, please don't whistle and say, no, play on. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. You whistle, that's it. Assume your mistake, right? It's not the end of the world. It's just bike fucking polo, right? Don't go, no. Please. That really like makes very confusing situations. Players should be glad that the foul was acknowledged and called, and that's it. What else? Coincidental penalties. Coincidental penalties, there's a lot of times that two players run into each other or they foul each other at the same time, or it's a very confusing situation. If you're not 100% sure of who was at fault, you could call a coincidental penalty, and that's a reach out. You mark down a foul for each of the involved players, ball in the middle, and we restart. If the foul would have been a minor penalty for both of them, so 30 seconds for both of them, and the game continues for 2-2, but for the entire duration of the penalty, right? So if it's 30 seconds for both players, it's 30 seconds for both players, 30 seconds complete, not the first one to score, because otherwise it would create a huge advantage. A player advantage is when somebody is serving a penalty. What else? Personal fouls, we've talked about it. No, I think we've gone through everything. Huh?
Just one question.
Yes.
The end of the advantage is when the other team gets the goal or there's a shot on target.
Okay, so the end of the advantage is when the defensive player, the defensive team gains possession again, right? That ends at the advantage and we do the ball turnover, like usual. And also, it's not defended necessarily, it's not the moment that it gets defended, but it's a shot that gets defended inside the crease, the moment that it leaves the crease, right? So I shoot, it hits your bike, it leaves the crease, end of the advantage. I hit it hits your bike, and inside the crease, I do a second shot and I score, that's a goal. Right?
And shot that is not on
If
target,
it
but was
hits
supposed to be.
the goal, if it hits the goal cage and it leaves the crease, keeps playing. The goal is not part of the team, right? The goal is not the goal is not goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's not the player.
Yeah, it's not a player. So yeah, it has to be defended, but it has to leave the crease. Yes.
Also, if your team, the team having the advantage goes behind the goal line,
If
this cancels the advantage.
But if it crosses, so if you go back, if you cross the half court, you go back and you go back all the way behind your goal, that is the advantage. Yes, 100%. But for example, if you get a foul there, you get the advantage right next to your cage, and you go behind your goal, that doesn't stop it, right? You have to cross the halfway court and then go all the way back. So it's a big reset that really kills it, right?
no, that was
That was a question.
yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else? No? So in terms of reffing, just please consider, don't focus too much on the exact words that are written, in the sense that be mindful of the context of the actions, be mindful of what's going on, who's getting advantage from certain situations, who is at risk, if there's safety concerns, and base your judgments on that, right? Try to be impartial, obviously, but think why something happened and what was the outcome, and from you get a lot of clear answers as to how you're gonna react next, right? Hold your matches the way that you're comfortable, because there's people that get really hot, and you might know them, and you might be able to take, you're like, no, I know that he gets a little bit crazy, but I know that it's fine and it doesn't really affect me. That's fine. But if it gets into your mind, if a player she's starting to get into your mind, to your reffing, and it's affecting your reffing, you can stop it. You can change that dynamic, and you can change what you're reffing and be a little bit more straight. But hold your ground, right? Hold your ground and try to make the best of what with the tools that you have, right? Nobody's perfect. You're gonna make tons of mistakes these weekends, and that's totally fine, because you're gonna miss a lot of shots. You're gonna miss a lot of things, and as a ref, also you're gonna miss a lot of things. So don't take it too hard. Try to do the best that you can, but nobody's perfect, right? And as a player, obviously, try to understand, because it's gonna be your turn at some point to ref, and so just treat other people as you would expect. Yes.
Just one last thing: if there's one of your teammates who's like not a good ref, make them be your co-ref. We need more competent refs. I'm tired of being forced to ref dirty finals. So, get your team to improve also.
Yeah. If just to add on to that, because everybody's gonna have to ref. If you think that your team is really shit at reffing and not one of your 4 players can do it, and you need help, seek out the help. You're allowed to seek somebody to help you out during the reffing, right? Try to find a chaperone, try to find somebody that can teach you a little bit, but it's your responsibility. You cannot say, no, he's gonna ref for me, I cannot do it, I'm not good, I'm not gonna show up. People will be penalized, right? You're gonna lose 1 point per match that you're not reffing, right? Meaning that if you miss all your shifts, it's like you lost 1 extra match, right? At the end of the day. So if you need help, ask for help. There's probably gonna be somebody that's gonna be willing to give you a hand for at least a match, but it's your responsibility to find it.
Can this be published on Telegram? Again, maybe it was already published.
I did a couple of times.
Okay.
I can repeat what I said, but yeah. People are there's a reffing list. You know the schedule. You know exactly when you're supposed to be reffing. But yeah, if you're not comfortable, look for help. But it's up to you. Nobody else is gonna do the work for you, right? And also, if you're good enough ref and somebody asks you, well, try to be there for them. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Anyway.
Merci.